very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Miyuki Portia, along with our sign language interpreter Brian De Cruz via Zoom. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Program underway to impose island-wide travel restrictions amid the rapid spread of COVID-19. New restrictions imposed on markets, public transport and offices, wedding ceremonies suspended, 48 new health regulations imposed on various sectors. President certifies the purchase of paddy at a higher price if farmers have a reduced yield after using organic fertilizer. Head of the COVID-19 Presidential Task Force, Basil Rajapaksa, leaves the country.
12th of May 2021. How will travel restrictions apply? Who will be allowed to travel? Will everyone get the vaccine?
A series of travel restrictions will come into effect to curb the spread of the COVID-19 virus in the country.
In which travel restrictions are imposed.
Travel restrictions will be imposed across the island from 11 p.m. today until 4 a.m. tomorrow. Travel restrictions will also be imposed across the entire country from 11 p.m. tomorrow, the 13th of May, until 4 a.m. next Monday, the 17th of May. Travel restrictions will also be imposed across the island from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. every day until the 31st of May. During this time period, people in the Western Province will be allowed to travel only to receive a jab of the vaccine.
What are the essential services?
Health services, police and tri-forces, essential official tours of state sector employees, delivery of essential goods, providers of essential services, people travelling for a funeral of a close family member, people who arrived in the country or travelling out of the country, and providers of import and export services. Travel restrictions will not apply to people in these categories. However, COVID-19 regulations will still be applicable.
Vehicles transporting vegetables, vehicles transporting food and passenger transport vehicles operating at night within the province will be permitted to travel. However, travelling for private purposes using taxi services will be prohibited. Only the vehicles that operate for essential consumer services and other essential needs will be able to travel during this period. This will come into effect throughout the island in every single district. But if someone needs to be taken to the hospital for an emergency, they will be able to travel through.
Leaving homes based on the last digit of the national identity card.
For an example, today is the 12th of May. People whose last digit in their national identity card, passport and the driver's license is an even number will be able to travel today. Tomorrow is the 13th of May. People who have an odd number as their last digit will be permitted to travel tomorrow. 0 will be considered as an even number. People will only be permitted to produce their passports only at instances where they do not possess a national identity card. If someone is caught using 2 documents of identification, law will be enforced on them.
What are
the COVID-19 regulations that will continue to apply?
Passengers using any form of public transport will be limited to the seating capacity. Private taxis can transport a maximum of 2 passengers. Government offices should function according to the circulars issued by the secretaries of the respective ministries. A central meeting will be limited to a maximum of 10 participants. Workshops and conferences are banned. Workshops and conferences are banned. Grocery stores, supermarkets, shopping complexes, marketplaces, economic centers and banks will be allowed to accommodate customers at 25% of their capacity. Bakeries, street vendors and beauty parlors will be allowed to accommodate 25% of their capacity. Daycare centers, preschools, schools, universities and higher education institutes as well as tuition classes will remain closed until further notice. Weddings will continue to be banned until further notice. Registration of weddings can be conducted and can be attended by a maximum of 15 people. Meanwhile, a 14-day quarantine period has been made mandatory for all foreigners, Sri Lankans, dual citizens and diplomats arriving in Sri Lanka.
With the implementation of provincial travel restrictions, a special security program has been put in place. Checkpoints have been set up along the borders of provinces. Officers at the Dangovita checkpoint along the border of the Western and Sabragamur provinces turned away those who attempted to cross the border, except those who fell under the category of essential services. This is how inspections were carried out at the Katakadalla Bridge checkpoint along the Panadura-Ratnapura main road, set up between the borders between the Western and Sabragamur provinces. A checkpoint was set up at the Bentara Bridge at the border of the Southern and Western province. This is how inspections were carried out in Kadugannava. Permission was not granted to transport food from the North Central province to the Dambulla Economic Centre. Farmers who came to sell their produce were gravely affected by this.
ඊයේ දවසේ නිවේදනය කරා නම් කෘෂි නිෂ්පාදන වෙළඳපොළට ගෙන්න බෑ නවත්තලා තියෙන කියලා මෙච්චර වියදමක් කරලා මේ කරන්නේ නැද ගොවි ජනතාව කබලෙන් ලිපට වැටලා දැන් වලපල්ලට යවන්න.
Operations were conducted in Giriulla in search of those who violated travel restrictions. Operations continued to be conducted in search of people violating quarantine regulations. The Ragama police conducted such an operation at the Ragama town this morning. 6 people who failed to wear face masks were arrested during the raid. Homeless people in the Ragama town were given face masks by the police. Operations were conducted at the Mahava town and Daladagama junction in search of those violating quarantine regulations. Police informed the public that only one person can travel on a motorbike. 435 people who violated quarantine regulations were arrested across the island for violating quarantine regulations during the past 24 hours. The Colombo District Secretary Pradeep Yasaratna said that with the prevailing situation in the Piliyandala town, travelling through or into the town has been banned. These steps were taken after considering the high-risk situation that continues to prevail in Piliyandala.
With 1,016 patients recovering from the virus today, the total number of recoveries in the country rose to 107,657. Now, after 23 COVID-19 deaths were reported yesterday, the total number of deaths in the country increased to 850. The deceased who succumbed to the virus yesterday are aged between 46 and 84.
What is the latest situation of the spread of the virus?
Looking at the manner in which the virus is spreading in the country, the rate of the spread keeps on increasing. More patients will be reported in the coming few days. The reason behind this is the rapid spread of the variant which is currently in the country. Also, we have clear evidence that the virus will spread to a large number of people from one person.
Even during the third wave, most deaths have been reported among the elderly. We have heard some news citing that young people are dying, but according to statistics, it is the elderly who have succumbed to this virus the most. In comparison to the third wave, a bigger number of young people have died during the second wave.
Is vaccination a solution?
If I have taken both the doses, the possibility of me dying due to the virus is very low. The complications I will face due to the virus will be less. I will be able to recover from the virus in a few days after displaying minor symptoms. To the contrary, where I may be asymptomatic and may spread the virus to people who are close to me.
Will Sri Lanka receive the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine?
We have a shortage of 600,000 vaccines. We are struggling to obtain the necessary number of vials. We cannot rely on India with the current situation prevailing in their country. Steps are being taken to bring down the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine from countries who have extra stocks of the vaccine.
Can a person be vaccinated with a combination of vaccines?
The World Health Organization has still not scientifically approved the mix and match of vaccines. As soon as they make an announcement, we will take steps to inform the general public of our country. The COVID-19 Technical Committee has recommended that both the doses must be administered from the same vaccine.
Is increasing the capacity of hospital beds a solution?
Although we are increasing the number of beds due to the rapid increase of cases, we are unable to increase the number of staff members. It takes 5 years to train a doctor how to practice. It takes approximately 10 years to train a specialist. We cannot increase the trained staff urgently. Staff cannot be purchased from a shop.
The vaccination program.
The vaccination of residents of the Western Province continued today with the support of the three armed forces. The programs were carried out at certain selected centres in Colombo, Gampaha and Kalutara. State Minister of COVID-19 Disease Control, Sudashini Fernandopulle, said that over 30,000 doses of the Chinese Sinopharm vaccine will be administered daily. The vaccination program was successfully conducted at the community centre along the Dali Road in Maradana. A large number of people were successfully vaccinated in Maligavatta, Kettarame and at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital. The programs were conducted by the health sector with the support of the security forces. The Sputnik vaccine from Russia was administered to the public today at the Professor Ediriveera Sarachandra Vidyalaya in Mulleriyawa.
We have received 15,000 doses of the Sputnik vaccine. We need to store this vaccine at a negative 20 degrees Celsius. After the vaccine is removed from such an environment, it must be administered within a short time span of 2 hours. We brought down 15,000 doses of this vaccine to check if the vaccine is compatible with the facilities that we have in Sri Lanka. When we successfully conduct the vaccination program and send the details back to Russia, we will get another 600,000 doses of the vaccine.
Meanwhile, a group of people who came to Mulleriyawa to receive the Sputnik vaccine accused the authorities of allowing people from various other areas to receive the vaccination at the centre. A group who came to the Mathugam auditorium in the Kalutara district to receive the vaccine protested against certain people getting preferential treatment to get the vaccine.
මෙතන අන්තිමට ලොකු ජංජාලයක් කරගත්තා. නිරෝධායන නීතිය අනුව අපි ග්‍රහණ කරන්න හැබදයක්. මේ මහත්තුරුන්ට ඒක කරගන්න බැරි වෙන බොහොම කනගාටුයි. Completely out this program. This is the harassment for the people. තමන්ගේ පවුල් වල කට්ටිය ඇතුළට දාගෙන ඒගොල්ලෝ ගහගත්තා. මෙතන උදේ 7 ඉඳන් ආපු මිනිස්සු හවස 5ට ගහගෙන ගියේ. දේශපාලකයෝ ටික ඇතුලේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ කට්ටියයි PHI ලා කට්ටිය ඇතුළට ගන්න. දේශපාලකයෝ කට්ටිය ටික ඔය පාසල මන්ත්‍රීවරු අන්තිමේ පොහොට්ටුවේ කට්ටිය ආවිලා ඇතුළේ ඉඳගෙන ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ පවුල් වල කට්ටිය ඔක්කොම ඇතුළට ගන්නවා. හවස් වෙනකම්ම කරේ ඒගොල්ලෝ.
අත්වාදයේ මාදනීය වල කරන්නේ මොකද්ද? කිසරදේට කොට්ට මාරු කරන්න වගේ අද කරන්නේ පැලත්තර දානවා හැමතැන් වල.
What are they really doing now? Like changing a pillow to treat a headache, they are simply putting band-aid on the problems. When they put band-aid on one side, the band-aid on the other side comes off. From one side they are closing down and opening up from the other. The vaccine is being administered in Colombo, but other areas don't have this. There are too many ministers as well. The three ministers do not know what they are doing. I am also deeply saddened to see these stooges who give the president advice. I don't even know what they are. I request the Prime Minister to keep all these stooges aside, call your younger brother to your side and tell him that this is how it should be done. I believe that if this advice is provided, we can get through this situation. I wonder if it is Basil Rajapaksa or businessmen who run the country today. There is a massive issue here. This country cannot continue to be governed like this. Proper details are not being provided. The vaccines they have are not administered properly. Some vaccines go out through the back door, while the rest goes to the influential people in the country and friends. Recently they said that they do not have vaccines to provide, but I investigated and found out where the vaccines are. Now people are asking me, how did I get this information? They are looking for the person who gave me this information, but they had to accept that everything I said was true. Honorable President, we request you to shut down the country. The situation is not what is portrayed to you by those stooges and opportunists. Close down the country for the sake of everyone. If you don't have money, we will go ask for arms and find you the money. We are ready to do that as well. We will go and seek arms and find the money needed to bring down this vaccine. We request the President to vaccinate everyone in Sri Lanka and make the country free of COVID-19.
අපි ඒකට හැටි අපි ඒකට ගෙවල් ගානේ ගිහිල්ලා පින්න පාත කරලා අපි මුදල් හොයලා දෙන්නම් මේ එන්නත ගෙන්නගෙන හැම කෙනාටම මේක විදලා මේ කොවිඩ් ප්‍රසංගතේ කොවිඩ් මාරුදුර අපේ රටින් තුරන් කරලා දෙන්න කියලා අපි හිතමාගේ තිජ්ජවක් කරා.
Moving on to some more local news. Head of the Presidential Task Force, Basil Rajapaksa, this morning left for the United States of America for medical treatment. General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, speaking to News First, said Basil Rajapaksa left for the USA to receive treatment. According to our airport correspondent, Basil Rajapaksa has departed Sri Lanka aboard flight EK649 around 3:15 a.m. en route to Dubai.
He travelled abroad for personal reasons. He did so after informing all of us and the party. The responsibilities he was in charge of were handed over to us. For the 2 to 3 weeks he will be absent. The President and the Prime Minister, along with all of us, will fulfill his responsibilities.
Those
who are capable will leave to receive treatment. Those who are unable will die here. What happened to India, where bodies were washed up ashore, will happen here. While many in India are dying without oxygen, many wealthy individuals arrived in the country in private jets. Moreover, they had no issues from the rich in Sri Lanka and the politicians. Basil Rajapaksa does not have that problem. However, the people of this country have numerous problems. Please, instead of abandoning the people and travelling overseas, stay here and protect them. This is the time for us to sacrifice everything and protect the people. Our 22 million people is a resource. Do not shy away from the responsibility of protecting them. It is an inhuman activity.
The Presidential Task Force to transform Sri Lanka's economy into a green socio-economy with sustainable solutions to climate change, headed by Basil Rajapaksa, met with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday. The Presidential Task Force has been appointed with the objective of achieving a number of eco-friendly objectives, including preparing a roadmap for the complete transition from chemical farming to organic farming, using organic fertilizer products instead of chemical fertilizers, pesticides and herbicides. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, addressing the meeting, said the decision taken to commence the usage of organic fertilizer was taken for a healthier future generation. Many allegations have been thrown at us, the main ones being the reduction of the harvest and incurring losses. That will not happen. A large area of paddy lands has been abandoned. We can start cultivating those abandoned lands and compensate for the lack of harvest we will encounter. We know the income received by farmers in the previous seasons. We can purchase their next harvest at a higher price. The certified price is 50 rupees, but we can purchase it at 60 rupees. Therefore, there is no scared. This is an extremely challenging and an important task, but we have to generations.
ඒ නිසා ගොවියට කිසිම බයක් වෙන්න දෙයක් නෑ ඒක සම්බන්ධයෙන්. ඊටාත්ම වැදගත් ඒ වගේම අභියෝගාත්මක කාර්යයක්. නමුත් අපි ඒක අනිවාර්යෙන්ම රට වෙනුවෙන් අනාගත පරම්පරාව වෙනුවෙන් අපි කරන්නට ඕන.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa also said the necessary facilities would be provided for companies that have commenced the manufacturing of organic fertilizer.
මේකින්නේ කොටසක් ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ ටිකක් ඉන්න බලනවා රසායනික පෝර කම්පැනි වහලා කාබනික පෝර
There is a group who is wondering how to close down agrochemical companies and open organic fertilizer companies. There is another group around the president. They want favors done out of him. There is another group who can bring in black money to the country in a non-state way. This group inside here can bring in billions into the country. This is an illicit attempt of a group of people, including Basil Rajapaksa, to bring in money to the country in a non-state way. The cabinet paper has been issued to establish a company called Sustainable Eco Development Company. A private company is being established here through the Wildlife Department and the Cabinet of Ministers in order to bring in this money. Due to this project has become a corrupt one. It is a project full of thieves. Why is this government hindering farmers? The lands that are empty after being abandoned due to failed cultivations are being given back to companies.
වගාව කරන්න බැරුව කුඹුරු එහෙම් පිටින් පාළුවට ගියාම ඒ ඉඩම් ටික අරන් ආයිත් කම්පැනි වලට දෙනවා සමාගම්.
Farmers are suffering as they have not received the fertilizer they need at the proper time. Farmers who cultivated vegetables including pumpkin, beans and snake gourd have been forced to abandon their cultivation because of this issue.
මොනවකරන්න දෙන එක අත්තරින එක තමයි ඉතින් ගොයියොන්ට වෙන්නේ. අලාභ වේවා ගෙවන්නෙත් නෑ.
කාබනික පොහොර දැන් අපිට මේ හඳුන්වන්නට එකම කඩේක කාබනික පොහොර කියලා දැකලවත් නෑ අපි. ඊළඟ වගාව ගන්න අපිට කෘත්‍රිම පොහොර තියා කොම්පෝස්ට් පොහොර තියා කිසිම පොහොරක් නෑ ගන්න. ඉතින් අපි මේ වගාව අතහැරලා දැන් ඉතින් කුඹුර දිහා බලාගෙන මේ දවස්වල ඉතින් ඉන්නවා ඉතින්.
Meanwhile, farmers in Kalpitiya have also faced the same fate after being left with no option but to abandon their cultivation due to the lack of fertilizer. Farmers here point out that the salinity of the soil in Kalpitiya requires a certain amount of fertilizer. A storage facility where fertilizer was hidden to be sold off at a higher price was raided in the Yayapaha region in Rajangane today.
මෙහෙන් පොර ගත්තේ කායින්ද?
ගත්තේ නිලන්ත කියන මුලාලිකින් තමයි.
කීය ගානද ගත්තේ?
2500 ගානේ.
පොර මිට කීයක් ගත්තද ඔයගොල්ලෝ?
අපි මගේ කොටුවට මං ගත්තා 35ක්.
When the police arrived after about 2 hours, they discovered about 1,000 sacks of fertilizer provided by the government for a concessionary price of 1,500 rupees.
අපි පොර මිටියක් ඉල්ලනකොට අනේ මල්ලි පොර නෑ එන්නේ අඟහරුවාද. ඊළඟ දාසෙ ගිහින් හැබැයි අහපු එක දවසකවත් පොර තිබ්බේ නෑනේ. පොර දුන්නේ නෑනේ. කොච්චර ගත්තද මේ ලවදල දුන්නේ කියන්නේ මේ අහන්න මේ ගොවියෝ ඉන්නේ. බරු කියන්න එපා ව්‍යාපාරිකයෙක් හැටියට. මේන් ඉන්නවා මේ.
කවුද පෙරේදත් මං ඉල්ලන්නේ ගිහිල්ලා පොර.
The Tambuttegama police seized the sack of fertilizer and impounded 3 lorries. Is it not the failure of the government that is on show here? Don't make these farmers suffer. Provide these farmers with the fertilizer that the government recommends. The government promised to compensate the farmers for any reduction in the yield. We stress that the government should provide the compensation to these farmers and keep their promise.
News First, the voice of the people.
In more local news, notorious organized criminal Mabulage Dineth Milan Mabula alias Urujua, wanted for murder, attempted murder, organized crimes and extortion, was killed by police fire yesterday.
According to police, Mabulage Dineth Melan Mabula alias Urujua, aged 27, is considered to have been involved in many crimes including 4 murders and 20 incidents of extortion. He was arrested by police on the 10th of this month. He was questioned regarding many crimes believed to have been carried out between 2015 and 2019. According to the police, after recording a statement yesterday, further investigations were carried out with the suspect in Vanduramulla, an area under the purview of the Navagamua Police Division, during which the police had to resort to the use of force during an incident. Following the incident that took place at the location, the suspect who sustained injuries died upon admission to the Navagamua hospital. An investigation regarding this death is being conducted under the supervision of a police SP. It is Samayang, who had connections to many crimes carried out in the area. As the head of the operations, the OIC of the Navagamua police said that during the operations carried out based on the information received, a T-56 weapon and a stock of T-56 ammunition and 6 grenades were found.
Gum at the Rise Up Sri Lanka song created to bring some form of relief to the minds of the people during trying times last year saw its official relaunch today.
The song was officially relaunched this morning at 9:45 a.m. under the theme An Opportunity for the Young Generation to Dream. Today onwards, you, our ardent viewers, can send us your own rendition of this song and send it to us on WhatsApp on 0777 6020. The karaoke version of this song can be downloaded from YouTube as well.
I reckon the change in our country will start from the young generation. Their dreams are massive. Even an iota of their dream cannot be comprehended. That is very unfortunate. The only thing we can do now is not to meddle with their affairs.
The song, which was originally written by the late Sidney Chandrasekhara, was given a new life by young musician Ashan Fernando.
Gammadda Nagitimu Sri Lanka. Gammadda Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
And with that, it's a wrap of primetime news here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Yuki Poshia. Take care and good night.